Welcome to the October meeting of the Planning Committee. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Councillors Hogben and Houston.
Item 2, to note declarations of members' interest as the agenda has been published. No? Okay, thank you. Item 3, to confirm the shall the minutes of the planning committee meeting. Can we accept those minutes accurate? And
Yeah, I move.
okay. Okay, all in favour? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's enough. Item 4, public participation. I tell you that exceeding 15 minutes. I have nobody in the room. Anything written? No. Excellent. Okay then. Item 6, which is a presentation from Cheshire East Council regarding corrected travel. And then we've got one following on the Southern Gateway. So we've got 2 guest speakers. I haven't been introduced, so whatever. Apologies for that. Right, so if we're mindful, we have got a rather lengthy committee meeting. So if we could really sort of wrap it up for questions about 6:30.
Chair, if I may, theoretically, there is another Cheshire East presentation directly after this one, so I would suggest that might be wrapped up by 6:30.
That's what I mean. You can take the 2 and then questions and that.
I will be as quick as I can. Right, how do I use that one?
When you're ready, press the
That
button.
one. Okay.
I'll press start off. My name's Claire Bistow. I work in the strategic transport team over at Cheshire East, with a particular responsibility for active travel. This is a piece of work that we've done that's been funded by the DFT, called the Capability Fund. We did a bit of a presentation just before the summer holidays with Ben and a few others. Who else was there, Ben?
We were invited and people from the town board.
So what we've been doing is having a bit of a look at some of the schemes around Vernon Way, West Street, and as an alternative route to West Street using Badger Avenue. So we had some ideas that we presented just before the summer holidays, pointed out that the only way that we're going to get any funding going forward is if we meet the latest guidance. So we've got to be looking for high quality infrastructure. The comments that were given at that meeting before the summer, we've taken them on board. We've come up with some sort of amended designs. So we're looking at that little bit there in the circle. The overall blue line is a route that we've identified when we were looking at something called an LSWIP, which is a local cycling walking infrastructure plan. It's one of, I think it's 9 routes that we've got in Crewe, but we're just focusing on that bit that's in the circle. So I'm hoping you can see that. You've got the red bit, which is Vernon Way, and then we've got the 2 alternatives of West Street, Broad Street, and then Market Street and Badger Avenue. So we've looked at those options. It's basically for Vernon Way, we looked at a 2-way segregated facility. Then we've ended up looking at a hybrid version. We've had to discount 2 of the options because they just didn't work. So that's what a 2-way segregated route can look like. Not necessarily saying that that's what this could be, but this is just for Vernon Way. So it's on the side where you've got the lay-by for the bus that is where they're parking up for the Lyceum. There are detailed drawings. What I've asked Pete is if these can be circulated to you afterwards, so that then you can take a proper look at them. And if anybody is particularly interested, I can send you the actual drawings. The only thing I'd say is please don't circulate them beyond this group, because the next step of the work is to actually do, once we've got your agreement or disagreement, you know, your ideas, then we'll go forward and make whatever changes are needed and then do consultation on that. So
Can these be circulated?
no, not circulated to this group, yes,
Yeah.
but not to the wider public at the moment.
So can I ask why not?
It's the,
Sorry.
in some respects, it's a big change in terms of what the current road layout is. And we know that people don't like change, so we would rather do it in a more managed way.
Okay, fair enough, thank you.
So the hybrid option that we've ended up looking at is making sure that that bit, that kind of facility would be from the Earl Street roundabout to just past the lay-by near the Lyceum, or that's used for the Lyceum, and then would go into a segregated two-way facility. So that's just the detail of it. I'm sure it's Ben who's going to be most interested in looking at those detailed drawings. So there's also the option of a different type of crossing at the Earl Street roundabout, whether we do it staggered or whether it's straight across. And at the moment, there's sort of neither of them particularly affect the traffic, so they're not, no option, any of these options don't particularly affect traffic delays.
Oh, and that would be about sort of 50 yards down the way.
It's something like
Just a little-
that, I can't remember the exact
So
distance.
the existing one is much closer to the roundabout.
It is, yes. I think you can just about make out the grey line, the dash lines.
Chair, can I comment as we go along? So,
It's
Yeah.
entirely, as long as
Yeah.
you don't delay it too much, but
Yeah.
I don't mind
So
for the
my
time.
original thought about this is, why are we moving the zebra crossing? Because people who are in a rush, because we're trying to connect up the town with the retail park, and making people walk down Vernon Way, then across, then back up, because
I know, it takes people away from the
Yeah,
desire line.
and I don't think they'll do it, I think they'll run across anyway.
Or it just discourages that connection between the.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes, because that's what there's plans to, there's an idea to throw an extra wide bridge over there by, across the railway. It seems silly to make that direct when you're actually making a diversion.
I don't know, it may be in terms of meeting standards, that's why it's been done that way, but I will go away and check.
Thank you.
So then looking at Badger Avenue, it's the same sort of facility, that two-way segregated on the side where the cemetery is. The issue for that one in particular is that we'd have to take out, I think it's about 6 or 7 mature trees, which it's not ideal, but there are ways that we can mitigate for that. It's also, that side of the road has fewer entrances, so we can do a sort of a continuous surface for pedestrians and cyclists. Whereas if you're on the other side of the road, you've got all the residential streets coming out. Same sort of facility again for West Street, doing that two-way segregated. Just because that's what that image is, that doesn't mean that's exactly what it would end up looking like. But it will be a segregated facility. The design ones you can take a look at. I think perhaps on this one, the biggest issue is Broad Street. We've got a couple of options. We can do it as two-way traffic. And then we allow two-way cycling, or the other one is only allowing southbound. Is that right? think it's southbound, traffic to come through and restricting on-street parking, which previous experience tells us that that would be controversial, particularly for the residents.
And that's the bus route, by the way.
It is, yes.
That picture's looking north, actually.
It is, that's looking down towards the cemetery.
Going down.
Yeah. Have you got any views in particular on that bit?
Well, to me, oh, sorry, go on, Dennis.
If you're putting a cycle lane in Broad Street,
Yeah,
it's not gonna leave much room for the vehicles. Even if it's one way, with the amount of vehicles that park up there. I use that road quite a lot.
It's usually a lot fuller than that, isn't it?
Sorry?
it is,
It's usually
yeah.
fuller than that, there's not usually many places to cut into that other traffic through.
It is one of those where you do sort of a chicane in, isn't it, when there's a gap in the traffic?
If you're lucky,
Yes.
yeah.
Does that mean that you don't particularly like that idea?
There's,
If there's, sorry, Ben, if there's some way of making sure people only park on one side of the road, then it might work, in my opinion. But whether that would be in favour of, whether the people who live around there would be in favour of that, I don't know. Oh, sorry.
I think what we'd have to take into account here, we're talking about it being, I mean, let's be honest, Broad Street, it was a lane at one, but you know, when about houses were built, we're talking about it being a lane, getting out to Warmingham and all the rest of our villages. And it seems to me, since they knocked the houses down where that hedge is, because at one point there were houses on both sides full of schools there, and there was a pub or two and there was a corner shop, it was a tradition, and all that was housing, and I remember that from my youth, you know. And we've seemed to have somehow managed to operate, people walking and biking and so on. It is a bus route, to me, and it should remain two-way bus route. And I wonder if you did go to a one-way, what the alternative route would be. So, for example, if you say it's Sudley, so you can go down Bank, but you'd have to come up Bank somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, there's a problem there, because if you wish to say get to Flag Lane, Hightown, then you I mean, let's be honest, we've got to represent people who drive cars, not just cyclists, with great respect to the cyclist lobby. The alternative is it's
It'd be heading
either
towards,
you're going up,
doing
you're
Badger
going up
Avenue and.
Ford Lane one way, so you wouldn't come that far. But if you're coming down from the Cross Keys, where we've got a lot of houses, you know, you're talking the houses at the Broad Street at the top, there's hundreds and hundreds of houses and people. So I just think that we need to think this through, because if you went one way, you'd have to go up Ford Lane. If you go the other way, you're going to put extra traffic into Vernon Way or
Middlewich Street.
So I just really think that, to me, it seems to it works, and I don't want to, because the bus route is key, because there's a bus stop there, and there's a bus stop right at the bottom where people get to the nursing home and come back. So I do think there's a lot more than just saying, well, that looks all right, I'll make it one way and if a bike lane. I just think you need to factor in, because we can't go up Newdigate Street.
No.
Because you're going to be fiddling through and down and all the rest of it. So, so anyway, that's just an observation of my own.
Okay.
Yes, Ben.
we had a look at it with Councillor Murray. And he suggested the Newdigate Street for cyclists, because I think it's a big ask to make that one way for cars. When I'm going up and down there, I cut through by the People's Home at the bottom and then come up to Adelaide Street. But Councillor Murray showed us a really neat there's a small grass bank, and if we could surface that one. So
Go on, you make your point and then I'll come back to
my point being, I think there's some really nice, attractive, low traffic options for cyclists to use without using Broad Street at all, just parallel.
But as I say, I don't think we should be working the issue until we see the plan. I think we
Yeah.
should just note your point, Mike. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, because
But I just,
I mean, the thing that we did take away from that meeting that we had before the summer was that this wasn't ideal. You showed us an alternative, and
Yeah.
actually what we've looked at is we can't make the other route compliant with the guidance, which means that we won't get funding. And actually Market Street would be a really good alternative route, which means that Broad Street would remain unchanged from what it is at the moment. But it's an idea, we've got to present it to you, I think, more than anything. Okay, let's carry on. I think, so we've done a load of modelling, and basically the queue lengths that these changes would make don't really cause any significant difference to what's there at the moment. The length of those lines on each one are pretty much the same. So that's morning, and then that's afternoon, and looking at peak periods. So overall, anything that we're doing doesn't really affect the traffic.
Somebody doesn't like it.
very progressive, this council, as you want.
And then the same at the junction of West Street, it doesn't hugely impact it. That's the afternoon, again, it's pretty much the same. So I have whizzed through it, and I will, if you can circulate the slides afterwards, Pete, and if anyone wants the drawings, I can send them on to you to take a bit more of a detailed look. Basically, they give similar results on Burnham Way. There's an assessment that we use, a level of service for walking and cycling, and the one that has that little bit of hybrid of the shared space from Mill Street roundabout up to the bus lay-by is a bit better. West Street, it's got capacity to make the changes. If we were going to do Broad Street, it does mean that there's changes that would have to be made if we're going to make it compliant to get that high level infrastructure, and then it's whether it's publicly acceptable. And the north side of Badger Avenue is a good option, but we would have to remove it with 6 mature trees.
Okay, thank you.
I think that was all of my slides. I think, yeah.
Okay, then. Well, thanks for that, and we'll probably end up with another meeting just on that, wouldn't we, or whatever.
I think we will have to turn out
That's
some
probably the best way
responses.
forward.
Yeah, that'd be much
That's probably
appreciated. Is there any way that could be done relatively quickly? I know it's a
What's the
cheeky
date? What?
It's that we have to complete that particular bit of the study by the end of October. And then we're putting in our next round of funding that is going to incorporate the next steps of this. So
Okay.
the sooner we get it, the
So
better.
if you send us the slides out and any
I'll send the slides.
material, and then
Yeah.
we could feedback, do it that way.
That's what we'll do.
Right. I'll send you the design drawings
Okay.
as well tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Okay, next,
Thank you. There you go.
the floor's yours, sir.
Well done. So my turn, I'll be equally quick. So I'm Paul Griffith, working in the department team, and I just wanted to bring you up to speed with the scheme that you're probably aware of. The Southern Gateway scheme from High Street Fund. Clearly just outside this building, so I shouldn't tell you too much about where it is. What I would say is that the scheme connects the Mill Street corridor and gets people into the town as quickly as convenient as possible with direct high quality public transport, pedestrianised cycle. Again, you can probably head outside the building and actually look for yourself, but that's
the current position, and we're clearly looking to enhance that and make some significant improvements. On your left-hand side is a schematic of how we want this scheme to look, and that will form the basis of a planning application that I believe is to be submitted imminently. An artist's impression on the right-hand side there. So what you can see, obviously, you've got the roundabouts at the south, where you've got the back entrance of Dunelm, and we'll be looking at taking all that horrible concrete paved sort of surfacing out, widening the footpath, making it all cycle friendly, and then a really nice high quality link between High Street and where we are today. So we've done some sort of initial consultation on this. I knew yourselves have commented, and that's why I'm here really. Broad public support across the piece, but obviously concerns raised from you guys around potential for severance, because there's obviously a lot of people who park on the car park at Dunelm and sort of make their way into town that way. So yeah, just around planning applications. There's also obviously land acquisition to do, and that's in train as well. So again, just some very simple shots of where the scheme is. It's currently, the land is currently owned by the pension fund, and Dunelm and Home Bargains have leases over the land. So there we are. So this is sort of the, I suppose, the heart of the matter really. That sort of yellow line there indicates that, you know, concerns were raised that we might be sort of stopping up that flow of people, which is a genuine concern. I understand that. And to try and get to the bottom of this and sort of figure out, you know, how many people might be affected and what the alternatives are. We did a pedestrian survey on a couple of days over the summer. And we had the great fun of trying to stop people and ask them questions. So we did ask a lot of people a lot of questions, but only out of the 300 people that were asked for an opinion, only 63 decided they were going to provide a response. But on the basis of that, those 63 people, we sort of analysed that, and there's a nice graphic here at the end which I suppose shows it quite nicely. Over the whole day, there was 858 people recorded. 300 people were asked for a view. 63 people gave a view, and of those 63 people, 25 of those 63 had used the ramp outside our building here to access Home Bargains, and of those 25 people, 3 people had used the ramp. Can't find it down. Three of those folks were impaired, and that when we say impaired, that those are people with a pushchair or in a wheelchair or with small children. So it's all sort of categories of needing mobility, if you like. That second bullet is quite important. So obviously, with the limited data we have, it should be noted that of all those people, 24 out of 25 of those folks arrived in car to Dunelm. So obviously they could choose, if they so wish, to drive their car somewhere else in town and access it that way. But we thought we would do this exercise to understand the scale and the issues that we had. We've also done some work to understand how we might address it. So obviously a ramp there would be clearly the obvious answer. So that's option A. We looked at putting a ramp there. And we also looked at upgrading the steps that go from the car park into the back of Flood Street, the back of the swimming pool. So we did quite a lot of work to understand the impacts of how we might sort of address that. And finally, we looked at, say, well, you know, if people, bearing in mind what I just said around people arriving in cars, if people were to park their car at the other side of the car park rather than the back of the car park, just some sort of views around how those trips could be made. And you can see that obviously for some journeys it is a bit longer, particularly if you can't use the steps. They're not greatly longer if you were to park the car towards the south. Again, we'll share these slides afterwards, so you can have a good overlook. Yeah,
Could I just ask, and I really, I'm lobbying myself here. I arrive by bus
yeah,
and I get off coming from Edliston Road, and I get off the bus stop there by the Christadelphian Church.
Yeah.
And I want to go to home and back again.
yeah,
So I just drop down the ramp here,
yeah,
front of the office,
yeah,
away I go. And equally, if people come from the West End of Crewe to the bus station and then get off the bus on the
Yeah.
terrace here, same route. Now I see a fair number of people.
Yeah.
Particularly, mums and dads with, like Ben with his pushchair,
yeah,
because the alternative to get to there is either them going sort of High Street and Vernon Way, get in.
Yeah.
Or you take the steps that are not the best steps at the back of the lifestyle centre.
yes.
I mean, really, they need to thought. But what I'm saying is, there are a lot of more people than what would be suggested use that alternative and come at the side of here and then. And I'm basing that on
I
experience.
think we are suggesting there are a lot of recording. Isn't it? We are saying a lot of people do use it. We are saying that for sure. But we have found that an awful lot of people do use the car park to, free car park and then go into town.
Yeah.
When you have this super new highway, so,
But the issue we have, I'll just mention it now. I'll probably repeat myself in a minute, but home bargains and the pension fund, that they are against any acquisition of their land for those purposes. So obviously they don't want to lose car parking spaces for the steps, to upgrade the steps. They would lose circa 8 to 10 spaces. And obviously that route that people are using down the back of Home Bargains is not a public right of way. It is a private land, and Home Bargains would not want to do anything that formalise that. I shouldn't say Home Bargains. The owners of the retail park will be willing to sort of formalise that, because that's obviously against their potential future interests, etc. So I think that's the issue really, is that although we perhaps recognise in an ideal world there could be further improvements to this for sure, it's out with our control at the moment, because we require the land to deliver the scheme. I think we have a scheme that ticks most boxes, but to make further improvements, that might be very challenging with the land ownership control that we have. So I mean, I could probably
May I just take back one slide.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is fact, it's just raising it for consideration. In the law of unintended consequences, by making it marginally or not harder to get to the town centre from that car park.
Yeah.
A driver, well, that's something that drives someone to do something, may well be to park on the out of town centre retail park where there's a large Home Bargains, and not use the facility town centre at all, because that marginal difference might just tip them over the convenience edge. And I'll throw that into the mix for your consideration, because
Yeah.
law of unintended consequences, you could find a drop in the usage of Home Bargains in that site favouring the retail park.
Yeah.
Chair.
Just all this information that we're being shown just on that slide there is based on improving people using that particular car park. But as far as I'm aware, that car park, we don't like you to use that car park and go elsewhere. It's for allow the patrons of that site sort of thing.
No, that's exactly right, and I suppose that's the point I was making, is that they 20 an awful lot of people do use the car park as a quick way to nip into town. And they're not supposed to. I suppose the operator wouldn't want to formalise that by actually having a public right of way that was legally created, if you like. All I'm saying on this slide is, assuming that behaviour operates at the moment, which it does, if you were to park at the south of the car park rather than like close to the north, and if you wanted to not use the steps, you would still have a a ramp access into town if you wished, and it would be marginally longer. We do agree, but not hugely longer.
So if someone did park there and then use this new route, but then when they return they had a parking ticket, because they've not got a till receipt for the whole bags or Donnell. Cheshire East are going to get themselves a little bit.
Well, we're not changing anything, are we? They can do that. That's what they're doing today. That's what they're doing now. Well, at the moment, they're just walking on the red route rather than.
But you're putting a pretty red carpet from there. Do you see what I'm saying? As it is now.
We're not putting a red carpet in. We're not putting.
But all your information is suggesting that information they're suggesting.
So
the
the red route is the route that people use now. They park at Home Bargains and they're not supposed to, and they walk into town on the red route. All I'm saying is they could still park in the same car park, the park, if you like, outside.
So someone on the blue route wouldn't use that blue route now because that area is fenced off. They can't use that, but you're going to put a facility in for them to use that blue route.
Well, the blue route is the existing footpath.
But at the moment, you can't walk from there, use that blue route, and then come up the back of it.
No, you can't. That's right.
But you're going to put that facility there.
Yeah, but we're also going to sever the red facility.
Right.
So do you see what I mean? We're not putting anything that's already there. Arguably, to take your argument to a further level, you might discourage. The operator might actually say that's good because they don't like people using their car park as a park and ride for town. I suppose what I'm saying here is that we don't think it's going to make things very different from how it operates at the moment.
Okay, so we move on. I mean, we'll have a chance to comment on the planning application, won't we?
Yeah, of course.
Which is coming out. Together.
So,
So if you could just sort of.
So this is what I was saying, that the existing routes via the ramp is an unofficial route that goes through private land. So it could be stopped, so that red route, it could be stopped up by Home Bargains and the landlord at any time, if they wish. The existing route, particularly at night, is quite unattractive. No lighting and can attract antisocial behaviour. The third one, I've made that point already. So the proposed scheme, which I say you will get to comment on, offers a more attractive route without adding too much extra time to pedestrians and for mobility and head folks. The routes are slightly longer. And again, a limited snapshot agreed, but our survey says for a few days that the vast majority of people interviewed using the ramp access the area by vehicle. So they could, use to continue to do that in a different way. So yeah, those were a quick run through the slides, but I'll leave those with you. And as you say, you'll have a chance to comment on the planning application as well. Yeah.
All right, Ben, then shall we?
Thank you. Yeah, very quick. So, probably it's worth making the point why we want this route in the first place. Is to connect the town up with the station, so we'll get a direct route from Mill Street straight into town, so it should in the end bring more visitor footfall and make it easy for people to not use their cars and not fill up the car park so much. And I think the idea of having a really attractive boulevard would be a really good thing. But I need to see the technical drawings back because I don't understand why we would use the ramp. Don't tell me no, but you can see the drawings.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come at the ground level, isn't it? To the back of this building, the boulevard.
Yeah.
And why would we?
Because there's a level difference between High Street and where we are now. It's quite pronounced.
Yeah.
To get a 1 in 20 ramp in it, there would be a very small retaining wall required for the back of Home Bargains.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can fix that.
We'll wrap up then. I'll just say though, that whilst I applaud the fact that it will hopefully bring more footfall from the station into the town, equally, I don't want it to make it worse
Yeah.
for lots of people who actually come on, particularly at the Fridays and into Crewe walking, and they walk to Oldham Bargains and they walk to Dunelms and they come back that way. They don't go to the station. So
Yeah.
the first bit, your first gate, but don't, be mindful. There's an awful lot of people that do walk
Yeah.
from our town into Dunelm and cut through, of course, to Tesco.
Yeah.
Not all got cars in Crewe.
No.
We have got a lot.
So we totally
Be mindful of that.
Totally appreciate the concerns, and that's why we try to understand what the level of issue is, and understand what the landowner's position is as well.
So we've got a planning application coming and I think what we should do is have the two, a special meeting to talk about both of those. If the committee agree with that, and then we can move that forward.
Thank you
So-
very much. Yeah.
Thank you, just leave it there.
Oh, okay.
You can throw it if you want, but I can't guarantee to.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Right, okay then, thank you.
Just let them know, I don't think there's red lines, red carpet.
Right. Shall we take the next item then? Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Item 7 then, the first one is 223813.
Yep.
Variation condition on the 73 dwellings, 42 independent living on the LMR Sports Club. Does anybody have anything?
There are no comments on the look this afternoon. It's technical changes to the elevations as far as I can identify. Those elevations now include, for example, external charging points for vehicles, that sort of thing. I wasn't able to identify any contentious issues, but there are about 20 new drawings. I can show you them if you like, but it's quite technical stuff. I know you're on a time scale, but it's up to you.
Does anybody want any comment?
They're already on site building them.
No? No. Okay then, shall we move on then? 223812. Convert existing dwelling into a new two self-contained flats. 11 Holt Street. That's off Richard Moon Street. Terrace cul-de-sac, is it not?
There are two representations from the public objecting to the proposals for issues associated with where they live and how it might affect them. While they load, I did identify a couple of issues with this one that members might be mindful to consider. There may be consideration for loss of amenity to neighbouring properties due to high density accommodation and overdevelopment of the site, loss of amenity for neighbouring properties due to the increase in on-street waste, inadequate on-street parking capacity with current unsustainable position further impacted by the proposals, no indication of safe or secure bicycle storage. Proposed layout indicates that the only bedroom of the ground floor unit would be an access to the living accommodation from the main entrance. This is inappropriate and unsustainable, and the proposal indicates that the ground floor design provides for potential risk of subdivision. It's turning, there we go. So in terms of elevations, there's no significant difference, but if we can, and the actual layout of the floors isn't significantly changed either, apart from the addition of some kitchen facilities. So the first floor demonstrates an approach to a flat, up some stairs onto a landing, bedroom one side, living and bathroom to another side. But on the ground floor, front access is here and into a bedroom, which then goes into a living room. You actually create a corridor out of the bedroom. which I would say would be unsustainable. Equally, you can access the property from the rear, but it doesn't remove the corridor effect that that design proposal has. It means that, for example, you have a front door access to a single bedroom unit, which, although not approved, could still very readily be used and subdivided, and then this could be locked off, and then have a second unit at the back. Those are my concerns. In terms of externally, there's not a huge amount of space.
No. Right, anyone who want my contribution? Build on, yeah,
I propose that we accept those comments.
what has been said. Yeah,
As a form of objection?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Chair, can I at this point give my apologies? There's nobody else to look after.
We shall note in the minutes that the van disrupted the meeting.
There's nobody else to look after it, so,
Yeah, okay, cheers, man.
thank you.
As a good granddad, farewell.
Thank you.
And the fact that councillors are getting so much younger.
Yeah.
Put them off alive.
See you,
Right,
mate.
next one then. Next one, 3828. Two-storey, single-storey extension to a dwelling, 18 Richardson Green Road.
We've been sent this one because the rear boundary of this property is on our boundary of
Yes.
Worcestershire Parish Council has responded with no objections. It's the actual development outside of our boundary. If it was inside, I don't think I'd recommend any objections either. So I'd say just
So we're okay with that?
Yeah, move on.
Thank you. Next one then, 223824, a proposed triple garage.
yeah.
24 Marley Avenue,
I recognise this one.
and you should do.
It's had two proposals in the past for a bungalow to be built in the garden, which have been refused both times and which we've objected to. And I'm just slightly concerned that they're building a garage to then develop it later. But I mean, I don't know what sway we have on it. But it just seems a bit excessive for a bungalow to have a 3-door garage, but anyway.
Okay, so in terms of the planning context, you can only consider the application in front of us. And the plot has a drop curb
Yeah.
access here, and they're proposing this here. Now, whilst I thoroughly understand those concerns, at this time you're asked if that's an appropriate and suitable position for a garage on that plot.
There's one there already.
Yeah, there's a building there, isn't there?
There's a garage there already.
I suppose the question would be the size of the garage. And could it be in the future converted to a forecourt?
It could, anything could be possible, but that unfortunately that's not.
It's not, that's.
I think you could maybe recommend some fixed conditions that this is purely for vehicle storage and vehicle maintenance and cannot be used for any other purposes as a condition, and certainly cannot be used for independent accommodation or overnight stays.
You say it's a bungalow?
The number 124 is, that's the bungalow.
Right. How many people live there if they want a triple garage?
There may be enthusiastic cars.
Just, I mean, it's very difficult to not, I mean, it's extremely difficult not to think that planning application that I referred to is that they tried to squeeze a bungalow on there and there wasn't enough of it all the way around and they got refused. And now it's a triple garage rather than a single or a double garage. But you can't, you know, I just feel that if we're not allowed to express what we really
We're
feel,
allowed to.
then it should be for cars or both bikes or and
Or
not
storage.
have it in the future, because triple garages, the size of that, it's
It's approaching the footprint of the existing bungalow. It's not quite
Yes.
there, but it's approaching.
so.
I mean, I don't know whether you can say, is it disproportionate in size to the property?
You might be able to, you can say, please don't let me stop you, you can say whatever you want. You might, I think, sustainably be able to say it is too close and has no overbearing impact on the boundary. You might also say it is excessive development of a garage for fear of commercial use or future subdivision. And you might well just be able to object because you feel it's not in keeping with the environment. So you could object it in many different ways, and I don't want to stop you saying what everyone say. I apologize, I'm trying to balance the position.
So you saying it, Emma?
Well, it's what I've said, isn't it? Just in a different way.
I'm just, I believe that it would be disproportionate if it was larger than the footprint of the existing building. And I think is that a definition in planning terms?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a principle in planning.
Principle, yeah. And this is actually technically, it's just about, well, it is small, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, we're making assumptions there, aren't we? We're making an assumption that that's to scale.
Yeah.
And you know,
I see what you mean.
so I
yes.
mean, if
What
that had a clear, I mean, it looks like it's
It
been
hasn't
done on
got a
the,
scale on it.
it's been done on the back of a bus ticket, hasn't it? It's not something that would say this is the scale of it.
In reality, it could be bigger.
You would be creative. If I was put in and wanted it, I would make it smaller. But when you think yourself, a triple garage, to have room between the cars and everything else, it's
So the car's what, 7 foot, 8 foot wide
yeah.
with the doors open? So you're talking at least 24 foot.
Won't take much to break those two sides up and put a
Would-
front door
would
in
it?
the middle.
Put a window in.
Do we have a feeling that we'd like to object, but we're not really certain how we would argue?
If I may, I think objecting would be too strong in that, you know,
Yeah.
somebody in their dwelling house and then they've got quite a big outside area and they've got an existing garage and they would like to have further garage space. But could we make a point about querying the fact that there aren't any dimensions on that? And that if it was above, it was larger than the existing footprint of the building, then it would be overdevelopment. And that would itself we would object to. And that
Yeah.
I can't,
If not-
I can't, see- what's it say at the top, sorry?
That says 9.3 metres across and 7 metres
it
depth.
does, it's got dimensions on it.
Yeah, it's not got height to the apex though, so with that.
That's just to there.
So
isn't it?
it's got the footprint dimensions, it has.
We haven't got the dimensions of the house, have we?
How far it's going back. So in planning terms, how can we phrase we've got serious reservations?
Concerns, I think.
No,
I mean,
just,
can we highlight the fact that I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? But it's had these two previous planning commission
No,
things.
I think Pete's suggestion about suggesting that it is used for vehicles and not to be slept in and lived in or used as an office or anything.
I can certainly phrase that the planning committee expressed concerns associated with the scale of development, its proximity to the boundary, and the potential that it could be subdivided or used for living accommodation, such as overnight or offices. And are concerned that they would like to create the dimensions in scale to the dwelling, the existing dwelling.
does that,
I might also add that if this is to be approved, that such conditions are put in place to ensure that it can't be subdivided or used as living accommodation.
are we okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, thank you,
Yeah.
Mel, for that. Okay, next one then. 22, 37, 45, change of use from 2 flats into 4. 1 to 4 Niles Street.
Well, not wishing to go against the grain. I'm sure members are very pro this idea. 2, 4.
45.
This is situated on the corner of Niles Street and Walthall Street.
Someone in one of the comments was questioning whether the address was correct.
Yeah, one of the neighbours, 40 Queen Street, suggests the address is inaccurate, but the site location is accurate, so
Right.
I wonder.
It's actually isn't 1 to 4, it's I think 4 to 6 or something,
Right.
1 is actually on the other side at the far end.
Yeah.
So I think what they're alluding to here, as in it's like apartment 1, 2, 3 and 4.
Right.
I'm not saying it's certainly not 1, it is. I think there's only 2 houses before that on Narcy, because you've got the park in between.
Has this been up before?
No, not to my recollection. It was originally a shop, so it would have at some point had a planning way back. It was a shop, a corner shop. The only thing I would say is that it seems that everything is being altered and progressively through the years in the area, Terrace Avenue, and they're growing away from HMOs as such because of the articles we've got in, and they're making it into 2 splitting flats, just like we just seen in Old Street, where it's 2 one-bedroom flats. Now here, it's 2 bedroom flats at the moment, and they want to make it into 4 one singles. We've got a lot everywhere. You look around the area, they've made them into what, you know, is there no demand for 2 bedroom flats? I would suggest there was. And I'm saying there's plenty, but when I look at that, and I've read our colleague from 64, what he's put about sizes, because this house is on the, it runs actually parallel with the street. It doesn't go back, you know, they're actually on the side, you'll see. And I just feel that it runs that way, so it's not, the depth isn't big, is it, Gary?
No, all the access is from Dial Street, yeah, whereas all those other properties in that line, the access is at the front bit,
Yeah,
like the narrow stretch of it, whereas the access is on that wide stretch of the property on 9th Street.
but the observations of size, I think it isn't really.
One thing I'd like to point out, I was quite refreshing to see 2 cars on the driveway. I've only ever known mattresses in
Mattresses.
in the 20 years I've lived.
Yeah.
I didn't put that in my notes, but I can do one. I did put in my notes that the proposals don't meet the national minimum technical standards for such units, noting that Cheshire East has not yet adopted these standards, but makes reference within the local plan and associated supplementary planning policy. The submitted plans do not reflect the stated scale and so cannot be accurately measured. Lack of provision of waste storage specifically associated with increased capacity demand within the proposals, provision of safe and adequate cycle storage within the proposals, loss of amenity for neighbouring properties due to high density accommodation and overdevelopment of the site, loss of amenity for neighbouring properties due to increases on-street waste, and inadequate on-street parking capacity with the current unsustainable position further impacted by the proposals.
Does anybody want to make comment or support that or against it?
Sorry if I haven't understood it right, but going back to what we originally said, that the actual address on the planning application is incorrect.
Correct.
So that we're not, I mean, they could be approving a planning application for some houses across the street then, couldn't they?
Well, number 1 Nile Street is across the street, let's say at the other end of the street, yes.
So, I mean, it's a non-starter from the point of view that surely this planning application is null and void.
I think,
Site address, right?
I think it's called 4 Nile Street.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But on the planning
Yeah,
application.
so what
it
you're
just
saying
says
is
null and
another-
void, or-
You can look on Cheshire East mapping system, can't you? It'll give you the address of every single
But the,
public map, is called.
the actual planning application
Which is 1 to 4.
says well, if you start, the one I'm looking at says 1.
1 to 4, yeah.
It doesn't even say 1 to 4.
It was mentioned, sorry, it was mentioned
The
earlier.
application for planning permission, which is a form PP
Oh, yeah, it does say 1.
1156289 is for a property
Number one.
they're describing as number 1 Nile
It
Street.
looks
So
like
they're not
it's
applying for the correct property.
7 and
It was
5
that-
Nile Street, the property is. And some of it's part of 260 Walpole Street, I've looked at it, if you look on public map viewer.
So
This computer's not.
It was
fast.
mentioned, it was mentioned earlier that it could have been flats 1 to 4. And I mean, I've said it
yeah,
before.
we're trying to
But then
find
they
an
need to know-
explanation, aren't
but
we?
It
then-
could be 1 to 4, number 7, 8, whatever it is,
Right, yeah.
Nile Street.
That should be
Flats 1 to 4.
clarified, I think the planning
You're right.
department needs to clarify that.
They shouldn't have
It looks, some of it looks like it's
accepted it
260 Walpole Street.
Should I
I would
comment
say-
I think that needs to go.
Right, so can we make comment and make it what Madeline said?
The application is unclearly and inaccurately addressed and therefore invalidates the application.
Yes.
Because it's 5, actually, it's right, it's number 5 and number 7, because it's at the moment, it's 2, been split, 5 and 7. But it's not in, it should be 5 and 7, but it's 7 and 5, 5 and 7.
Yeah, because it runs the opposite way, yeah. So it goes, on the map it goes 375, which.
But okay, so it's the wrong address, so
Yeah.
Madeline point is correct.
Would you like me to add those other comments in
Yes.
case
Yes.
I might not
Yes.
agree with that position?
Yes,
Yes,
if the
I think-
application was to continue,
I'm
to
gonna-
be accepted, then we would object.
thank you, Gary. See you guys.
See you,
So
Gary.
we okay with that then,
Yeah.
before you go? Okay,
Been
we're all okay then for
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks,
thanks.
Gary.
See you. Complicated, isn't it? 22, 37, 86, single story rear extension, kitchen dining, 184 Middlewich Street.
There were no comments and no concerns.
Anybody got any,
That's gone, wasn't it?
you okay with
Gone
that?
through with already, it's not.
So today's, it was today's date, so is it one?
Oh, no, I've already written to him saying he can wait. Please wait, polite with us.
You can wait.
Well, if we've had no objections for.
So we're having no comment.
I look at them all before the meeting, there was no
Yeah.
submitting.
Yeah.
We trust you.
Are you okay
I
then?
will.
Okay, let's go to the next one then. 3693, convert existing dwelling into 2 self-contained flats. There's a theme somewhere here. 162 Mill Street. Yes.
I mean, at the moment, it's actually, it's not a dwelling, is it? Because it's a hair salon, so should it be
Change of use.
change of use?
That's a good point.
Yeah, whatever.
Because it's not converting existing dwelling.
Yeah.
It's got in converting existing building, but the bottom isn't a dwelling, is it?
Where's Gary with this phone?
They haven't previously applied for change of use and been given a tablet.
Or could we have
But
that post?
that, would that be information being included?
No, because that other previous one, I had to look it up.
Location plan.
CW2.
It's
Book Street, Bridges here somewhere.
yeah. It's is it not is it hairdressers at the minute?
Yeah, it's a salon, well, that's only what it says on there.
Yeah, it's a
But
hairdresser.
it's, there's no planning application come up for it previously.
Yeah, it's been there a long while, that hairdresser salon.
So,
So that's the
I mean,
first.
Yeah, hair salon, yeah.
if you then go on to look at the actual plans, as far as I can see, all they're doing is actually making the hair salon into a flat, which in proportions is what it's got above.
Yeah,
So I would say that, I mean, I don't know what the proportions are, you know, the sizing are, but it's probably okay, but it is definitely a change of use, isn't it?
I should imagine originally the lady that owned that shop, because she went years, probably lived above the,
Yeah,
you know, lived above the shop. So what are the observations on size minutes?
Need a fridge.
I would suggest that the first floor flat does not provide access to the rear, so there's no external amenity space, and therefore no easy access to storage of bins or secure bicycle storage. There could be therefore loss of amenity for neighbouring properties and pedestrians due to on-street waste storage, parking provision. I did suggest that there might be overdevelopment of the site due to inadequate external capacity and access.
Is there not access at the side of the, because those down there, they share like a small,
There is
Covered.
access off Brook Street here
yeah,
to get in the back, but
right, well, that's where they get to.
yeah, well, the first floor doesn't have direct access to the rear. So the expectation would then be to come out the front door, take the waste all the way around the corner, walk down the gill, and in the
Yes.
backyard.
It's by 160 where the ginnel will be. There's like a door on it.
Oh, there's one there.
It's shared, that,
Yeah.
I think that, but whether they can have access is another matter.
Yeah.
There might be just those two houses, 160 and presumably 158.
I got what you're saying. Yeah, it's even if you had the shorter, you're still going to come out the front door,
No.
walk around and take the waste around the back.
I know some of them will go.
And when I think we know that tends to lead to people.
Right, so
just-
what do you want to put there, colleagues?
is that, are you saying that for the top floor as well?
I'm saying that only for the first floor, yeah.
Because the first floor is existing as a flat already.
It's the existing rooms, I think, am I wrong? Room 1, room 2, bedroom's got a bathroom. It hasn't got any,
Oh, I
it hasn't
see.
got a kitchen or anything.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, no, I see, yeah, no, that's fine, so it actually
So
has.
I think
existing users.
your observation is a change of use hasn't been identified, I think that's a thing to include, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise we'd have to come back with that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but then again, we need to put all our objections in as well, like we did with the last one, just in case it.
Yeah.
I think it's safe for that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, fine.
okay.
So it's not even an existing dwelling then, is it? Because it hasn't,
No,
or is there a kitchen downstairs?
Well, you'd have to wonder what the status of it was. I know it's
You
operating.
see, technically, it's got, it looks like it was probably a house.
it was a house. It was a-
And then was converted into a salon.
I have had my hair done there on numerous occasions, and it really just looks like somebody's house. When you go in, it's
Yeah.
like, as all those terraced houses, you have a front reception room and a back reception room, and then you have a kitchen, don't you? It's very like houses, terraced houses in Crewe that I've lived in.
Yeah, I
And
get.
then you go upstairs and you've got your 2 bedrooms and bathroom.
so
Okay.
do we assume that whoever owns the hair salon lives above?
No, but
Because you've got the
maybe-
kitchen downstairs,
No,
and there's no kitchen upstairs.
no. We're assuming it will have originally been a house,
Yes,
and where then, whatever happened, it might be somebody who lived there decided that they're gonna have and the parlour would be changed. That's how it is, the parlour.
Yeah.
And then what's happened over the years is just, you know,
Is expanded probably.
quite a lot of those were shops, and the
Yes.
ones at the end actually was a pub,
Yeah.
nice little pub, anyway, that's not.
Yeah, the history of Mill Street, in fact,
It's
is
one of the
that
oldest
a
ones.
lot of the houses were not public houses, but they were allowed to be an ale. was it
Ale
called
house.
an ale
Ale
house.
house.
And you didn't need, you only need a very, very cheap licence that you went and got from the, what was then the town hall. And you could operate, you could sell beer from your front room. So in this case, the building was being used to sell hairstyles from the front room.
And if we could just build on that, if you go further down from that to the next, that rather large building that's on the corner of Brook Street the other way. When it was called Mill Lane, the reason it was mill, it was a mill, and actually it was a brewery.
That's why alehouses there.
And there's a lovely chippy across the way I used to go the Alex. When I was a kid, I used to bump to that chippy after we freeze. Anyway, let's not. Happy days.
I haven't had my dinner yet, can we move on?
Right, let's move on. I need to go, I should shut up. Right, so next one is 3646, and this is to do refurbishment of a cot loft. Oh no, refurbishment and remodel of existing ground and first floor building, together with the removal of the cot loft at roof level. I've actually had my head in that cot loft.
Just,
What, sorry, didn't catch that.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
If I may, Chair.
Yeah, you may.
I haven't made any comments or made any notes on this because there's a lot of detail in it, but I am aware that the Heritage Officer will be making a response due to the impact on the features that they're proposing.
I do know that particular room building, what it was originally, and it is one of the original builders on the front of Pim's Lane. And the cot loft was just actually where all the good ones were, you know, all open, and then it opened up, you could walk all along the front of the building. Really fine. They're gonna make it, I mean, what they're going to do is making it a very nice exhibition for all the cars. I mean, it's actually going to be.
Yeah, it's just some of the proposals are to remove features rather
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
than keep them and build accordingly.
So you want to include that then, just say that our Heritage Officer.
I would suggest the Heritage Officer is best placed to make the most appropriate comments, not necessarily against it, but to try and preserve some of those heritage features.
Yeah.
Okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got 2 days.
I think she's almost written it. Yeah. It's quite, it's far more involved than I understand. It's not an area of expertise I've got, so I can't enlighten you.
So I presume it'll be that
Well, it can be. I would say the Heritage Officer should be allowed to freely
Yeah.
submit on the heritage grounds, but equally
Right.
we'll share it as well.
Share it.
Yeah.
Okay then, 38.99. One door replaces Phoenix Leisure Park. I assume this is the new bowling alley, or refurbishing the new owners. Anybody got any comment on them? Have a look, it's just.
I was just slightly confused because the next one almost is the same thing, isn't it? It says about,
I think it's inside that one though, isn't it?
it says the new judicial screens in main entrance.
Yeah, I think the way I've read it is they're making sure, because they're doing it in a professional way, to regularise all their planning process.
Right.
So they're putting in belt and braces to make sure everything's covered. It's an advertising consent as well as a planning consent.
Right.
That's how I've read it.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Would we like, are we proposing that we have no objection? Would we like to add that we welcome bringing the building back into commercial use? I mean, comment.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're taking them two together and we
Yeah.
support them, what they're doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Right, okay then. So item 8, consider making responsibility any urgent planning apps.
Before I go through the ones that were received in the interim since the agenda, the one that we received today was a plan application associated with the Southern Gateway. So the chair was suggesting we might arrange an additional meeting or maybe bring the next meeting forward depending on members' opinion. So that can be considered as well as that cycle route in detail.
Does that sound good?
So should we bring it forward a week or bring it forward 2 weeks, that meeting?
When is the next one? November the.
19th-ish.
You try and get a date then before it shuts off and make.
Yeah, I'll have a look at the diary and we'll make sure we get it.
Can didn't they say something about it's got to be in by the 31st of October?
That was the first one.
That's the answer. I'll contact her and suggest that might have to delay a little.
Okay.
Could I mean, the only alternative would be, could we have a discussion on Zoom on that, or is that?
Yeah, you can if you want, yeah, it'd be an informal response that I'd take on a consensus approach, yeah.
Oh, happy days.
Yeah.
It's like the
Well,
olden
that's
days.
an
I was just
That's
saying, if we need to do
an
it
exciting,
sooner,
Yeah.
and then if it's more practical.
Not
Is there
making
any- Is there anything against the rule?
No, I can submit comments on your behalf based on the consensus, it just won't be a
Oh,
formal
okay.
decision, it's
And
fine.
then we just approve it at the next meeting, don't we?
Yeah, note it, ratify whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
So we work towards that then.
We'll do
Yeah.
that.
Do you
Okay.
want a proposal?
Hey, you're
Can I
fine.
just check when you're back from holiday, please?
I've got there yet.
I know.
Is it the recording now?
Yeah, this, so I know that I can book something in and you'll be in the country.
I jet back,
Yeah,
like, week tomorrow.
week tomorrow. Okay,
That's the
so any time
25th,
after that,
isn't
yeah. So if you land at 6, we can have a meeting at 7, is that?
I tried that.
What on Tuesday? Well, the Alex will lose it, you can have one when you want.
Can't you attend a Zoom meeting while you're away on holiday then?
No, his phone will be in flight mode.
Have one without me, don't worry. I won't take it personal. Okay, so that's, you're on fire today. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so that's
Right.
that dealt with that meeting, I'll make note of that. So we've had application 223890, change of use single dwelling to a 4-number bedroom HMO. I'm quietly confident that we would seek not to support this sort of application in Crewe. I have made some notes, which you can see as well, that's also fine. What's it got already? Great. Yes, Delamere Street.
What's that?
I like that one.
It's wrong, that is.
See it.
That's what comment, it's got pointing.
Point
Unless,
closer.
It's got the wrong.
that's the leafy bit of Cheshire, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the wrong things. It's got the wrong documents attached. They were the right ones, isn't it?
They were.
All right, I'm really sorry, members. I can't show you on screen because for some reason the system has.
It was all right earlier. wasn't it?
Yeah.
What have we got? Is that,
Well, that's
just press on one of them, just to.
that's the right application there
Yeah,
on their portal, and then we go down to here, and it's referencing 18569.
when they made a decision there, haven't they?
Yeah,
So
so
it's clearly.
let's see what they thought of that application. Just out of interest. Make sure it is related and it's the right document. Come on. Yeah, it's the right document. It's the wrong application.
Just stuff.
You might it might be worth refreshing, because I've actually got it up now.
Okay.
I've got fewer.
Yay!
Has blicks, doesn't it?
Don't know how you do it, but well done.
It's by the,
Well, it's obviously got the history, doesn't
Obviously.
it? Background.
opposite the church. Delamere.
All right.
There's its location there, it's very good set. Not sure, you might be able to correct me, I don't know that access is available to the rear. Because I looked on Google Earth, that was derelict land.
It's, you can, some of them I think used to be able to access
Well, that's what's,
at one point, many years back.
that's what it's showing right. So the proposal. What's still loading? Permission to buy better laptop.
I'll keep going.
Right. Proposed and existing. The elevations are effectively changed. So the existing, it's a normal back kitchen, 2 downstairs living rooms, and 3 bedrooms upstairs. And the proposed for that is shared space at the
back living room as was, front bedroom with its own small ensuite, kitchen at the back, and then bedrooms, 1, 2, 3, and that's, yeah, that was a weird one, the ground floor was number 4.
Yeah.
So it's
I
1,
mean,
2,
the-
3.
The only plus side I saw was actually it's got a separate living and kitchen. But again, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, how big are the bedrooms, or how big is that bedroom with this ensuite in it?
I don't know off the top of my head, but when.
No, I'm just saying, again, we don't know, do we?
I do know that they, that back bedroom and the central bedroom, number 3, I think it is, are below national minimum technical housing standards
Yeah, it's not the man.
for any room of that sort of nature. And so I made that point in my notes. They don't provide any off-street waste storage. Don't provide adequate secure bicycle storage. Create adverse impact on neighbouring residents due to noise and on-street waste. Proposals don't provide for adequate parking and will adversely impact neighbouring residents. Inadequate external amenity space for the proposed density of development. Proposals do represent overdevelopment sites. Proposals do not meet the national minimum technical standards of units.
Accept those.
Yeah, second.
Oh, and also, sorry, I've got contrary to the Cheshire East Article 4 Directive associated with prevention of proliferation of HMOs. The community is already facing the impacts of higher housing density.
Yeah, what he said.
We're okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, okay, thank you. Next one.
The next one is 223987N, change of use from house to 2 self-contained flats. Now, I would suggest this isn't as evil as it sounds.
No, I thought this was too bad.
So they come today, but this one will go today.
I didn't make any notes on this one, I couldn't see massive concerns on it. So the existing ground floor, front entrance, hallway, lounge, dining room, kitchen, traditional layout. That's the backyard there. And upstairs, 3 bedrooms with a central bathroom. Now, the proposal is for a ground floor flat, front entrance here. It doesn't risk subdivision as far as I can tell, because it creates corridors, which is a positive thing to reduce risk of subdivision. And upstairs, again, it's not likely to be subdivided. Theoretically, it could be 2 bedrooms sublet upstairs. I don't think you could realistically restrict that, but it looks like reasonable size two flats, to be honest. It's proportionate as far as I can tell.
They're quite a large houses though, double bayed,
Yeah.
very similar to my next door neighbours. But the only thing is again is access for the flat upstairs
Yeah.
when you come down to bin storage, because
I think
there
it's got
is a reference to bin storage. But of course, if you're upstairs, you've got to take them round.
I think it's got.
There's very few that have been done like one next door to me was done, where the rear bedroom upstairs was changed to a kitchen, which that is done, but they've actually put a door and there's just stairs, so that the lad who lives upstairs can get access to, you know, the reasonably sized back, and to the bins and out to the alleyway.
But with it having a front yard, I think we struggle to make that argument.
Yeah, but they've got reasonable sized lengths of garage there. But I mean, there's a garage where that would be, you see. I mean, they've got a garage. That's how, you know.
No,
Just an observation, it's nice that you could do that. If you can't do it, well, that's it anyway.
Well, we can-
Propose no objections, or do you want to put that in?
But seek first floor access to the rear.
Just put that, they won't like. I think we should be consistent. They don't do it. The guy next door insisted that the guy was going to have a self-contained flat. To be fair to him, he did a good job, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you okay?
Yeah.
We're all right with that then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more?
And then there's application 224074, which is a 2-storey extension to the side of the property 9 George Crawford Road. And that was quite a large plot. I can show you if you want, but it's
I was just slightly confused.
.com.
Oh, my daughter's in that advert. Excellent.
Um, I couldn't find George Crawford Road,
Could you not?
no,
Well, George would be upset.
yeah.
I don't know which one she's in the advert, to be honest. I'm not
I've never heard of it, to be honest.
When she gets into the car and drives off, when they're like a desert.
All right, okay.
I'll tell you after, tell you the details after.
Which one of them where
Must be one of the new ones, is it?
it's where the old Coskeys on there, it's
Oh, is it?
all these houses up there that walk
Yeah.
All right, is
walk
it,
out of
yeah.
Broadstone where you can.
So, yeah, that's
Cycle
why,
road
because
there.
it's not on Google.
that building out
I just like looking at the picture of it to see it, to get a feel for
Yeah.
what they're doing, you see,
Oh, I
and
see.
I can't. So I was upset.
Probably paid arm and a leg for that, no?
here.
Yeah, upside down,
Australia.
It comes round the end.
yeah.
Right, existing ground floor, proposed ground floor.
I was a bit confused by the house with the room numbering, but anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the rear aspect there. That's spaced out, so they're putting on, looks like half width-ish.
There are no any, how long has this house been there? And
Not long.
are there any criteria for extending? Because I know that on new properties, on some new developments, they say you can't build within 5 years.
If it is a planning condition, then it will be the plan authority to enforce that. I don't know with regards to that development. If it is a charge against the house or what's it called? A thing that you put on the deeds,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then that is a civil case and
Right.
not a matter of planning, so it'd be a matter of those offended neighbours making the case on that, so I don't.
So it depends if it was in the planning, the original planning for the properties
Yeah,
that, yeah.
Well, the Rotary Club went round there last year for the first time, on their Santa Float, because I was driving it, so, and I think, could have only 12 months, it can't have been there longer than 2 years, surely.
I think you're looking at me, I
Well,
haven't been here longer than 2 years.
It's like the wall, isn't it? Just keep building on and building on, but none of it's that old, you know.
Yeah.
However, do you want to capture that and put it in?
Yeah, you make no objections, but seek that the planners check there are no conditions associated with the original plan
Yeah.
There's nothing
to
for
restrict for
nothing for the
the.
neighbours.
Yeah.
No, there's no comments from there, not yet, it's very new to be fair.
Yeah, okay. Maybe the neighbours are going to do it as
Okay.
well.
There you go then.
Right.
Thank you for that. Have we any more?
No, just this one gateway one, which we're gonna have a meeting about, which is fine.
Right. So we'll move on to 10.
9.
To note and consider correspondence, consultation planning policy circulated. 10.1, 20 is plenty campaign.
No, number 9 is not.
No, still number 9. Number 9 is all those submitted comments that we
Yes.
circulated, and you just got to note that there's no decision to be made.
Noted.
Noted.
That's that, so
Oh, sorry.
number 10, yeah.
I mean, Spain. Right.
You're already there.
Item 10. So correspondent consultation plan. So the first one is 20 is plenty campaign, which has been on the notes.
Yeah, it's circulated to you, and we received communication from 20 is plenty for Cheshire East. And You're invited to a presentation, a Q&A session, which I circulated again today on Thursday, the 27th of October or Friday, the 28th of October. So information is on your email, or I can send it to you again in another form if you want, Dennis. And they're obviously seeking support to the campaign for 20 Plenty for Cheshire East.
Right. So, is that online then?
That's an online
There you go.
presentation
Okay,
that you've all got links to, and I can send it out again. Or
that's noted.
yeah,
Point of information, if I may, Chair. Cheshire East Council, you may be probably aware of this. On 22nd of September, they adopted a new speed management strategy. And that does include making provision for 20's Plenty, well, the 20's Plenty campaign is based on implementing 20-mile-per-hour zone. That is contained within that strategy,
Right.
and it's to be done on a local basis. You can propose a street or an area of streets, sorry. Suggestion where I inquired about this is that it would be good for local ward councillors to put forward proposals. So, I'm sure we would welcome proposals from the residents. And so it would be good for us to find out more from this presentation.
Excellent. So these are legal powers, because at the moment we couldn't do it. They designate, didn't they, around schools.
It's been adopted, the strategy has been adopted, and it
Oh, that's
contains
good.
within it, giving the power to Cheshire East to implement this type of thing.
That's good.
But on a case by case basis, not across all roads
No.
in Cheshire East.
No, that's good. Oh, thanks for that. Anything else? Anybody else? All right. Next one then. So we've got a letter, haven't we?
yeah, correspondence came in an email. It's correspondence regarding Broad Street speed limit, and the correspondent is seeking a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit for the whole of Broad Street. And you're asked to discuss this and decide if it's something you would support. If it is, then it's representation I can make to Cheshire East. If it isn't, then I won't.
Well, I think we'd go back to, we could agree, but it goes back to the local councils, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think we should contact the local councillors.
On both
Councillor.
councils.
Kuno.
Yes, you
Yeah.
mean on town council and Cheshire East.
Broad Street would cover probably three wards.
Yeah.
Crewe East, top end, Crewe North,
And
Oaks and Leeds and that, and then the top end will be Crewe Central.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of councils we could, I think the principle, because there is a lot of parking, and we've alluded to some of it tonight, at the top end.
I've suggested go over the bridge by the pub.
That's where this lady's referred to,
Right.
actually, yeah.
I've actually seen the car go down, it was so fast, the wheels left the ground. It took off. And I was coming the other way, and I can assure you, I wasn't very happy. But as long as they endorse it.
Yeah.
There we are. So I feel directed to contact the ward members for both councils associated with Broad Street to seek their consideration and progression of that.
Yeah.
Aim of this correspondence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next then,
The next is an update on planning enforcement associated with Grand Junction Retail Park. It was identified by the chair that the planting scheme hadn't been completed. So we made contacts with the planning enforcement team, and the planting has been done, as where those bathrooms show things are on Rainbow, just off Rainbow Street, looking onto Earl Street. Those units are now going to drive back. See nice planting schemes there. To be fair, planning enforcement took action and Savills did the work. Now that said, on Rainbow Street, we never
Haven't
finished
finished it
off,
yet.
we haven't finished off the roadway bit that's supposed to be done, so we've also extended that, that enforcement request, and hopefully they'll be pushed on to consider that as well.
Very good. 10 forward.
Cheshire East consultation on draft developer contributions circulated to you. Then we've got till the 7th of November to make any comments on the supplementary planning document associated with developer contributions to developments. And there's, the information is all online. I have no comment to make on it. Obviously, you see the greatest return on developments that is feasible and reasonable. The detail within it isn't as clear as I might hope. You might find it easy to access. And that's for members to make comment on. It's not the document you're looking at, Chair. That's just something that arrived in between and we're sharing information. But the yes, standard is a formal consultation on that element. Members want to make a comment. I'm not entirely sure what, apart from get as much as you can out of the developers.
Okay then, thank
The
you.
only thing about developers, as far as I'm concerned, is that when they say they're gonna do something, they don't change their mind halfway through and say, we can't afford to do it. That really bugs me.
I think most would share that frustration.
Okay. Shall we move on then? 10.5.
Again, planning enforcement against digital advertising sign at Earl Street roundabout. Submitted an enforcement request for that because it was blinding. And I now know it's turned off in the mornings, which is nice, but then equally one night I was here late,
It's still bright.
and at 8 o'clock at night it was bright again.
So can they not turn it down? Can they not turn the
I'm really
brightness
sorry.
down?
Yeah, they can, because I come in quite early
Yeah,
and it's dark, and when I was coming in, let's say September, it was bright in the morning. Now
Yeah.
that's not happening. But unfortunately, they haven't ceased the evening thing. And I'll notice it again when I'm going out, unless I'm wrong, because the last week sometime, it was probably Thursday night, I was leaving about 8 o'clock and it was lighting around again. So I'm seeking they're doing some action.
but are you saying they actually turn it off at certain points or it's turned down?
I couldn't tell you, I'm sorry, I don't
No,
intend.
I know, I just wondered whether.
I'm telling you, it's
in the
off
morning-
at 6 in the morning when I arrive at work.
Yeah,
There's no adverse on there at 6 in the morning.
no, so it sounds like they're turning it off rather than.
Yeah, it must be a time
Turning
switch or
it
something,
down.
I couldn't tell you that bit, but it needs to be, something needs to be done for the evening as well, because if you drive over around
Yeah.
that tonight, I
Yeah.
would, unless something's happened in the interim from Thursday last week.
Well, even driving across in the daylight today, it was still bright,
So anyway, that's just,
Yeah.
that's just for
it's
information.
just progressing, isn't it?
We
So-
don't have any powers, but we can
No.
raise these things with them, I've got to say the enforcement does.
Yeah, then anything back from one to explain them,
No,
because it was a few weeks back, since we did it.
well, nothing, but I have updated them that there is something happened, but not all of the stuff that needs to happen.
Oh, okay. Okay, next one then. Wisherson Green Road Bridge consultation letter. This is another one that's not in our technically. in our
No, it's
laws,
sort
but
of, the
a lot of
route
people
just
use
comes
it.
onto our boundary, that's why we
A lot
consulted,
of
it's very,
people use it.
very nice to be consulted, so sharing it with you, as is appropriate. Not expecting any major import, that was entirely to you.
Yeah, there is now, there is an arrow. Okay, so let's go on that. So, are we okay then to move on to item 11?
Yep.
I haven't a clue what it says.
No, because it's funny, it's fine on this copy,
Well, can you read it out, Helen,
Yeah.
please?
to consider the budget setting process for 2023-24 as it relates to this committee. So, because it's, for some reason, the one I printed up earlier,
Corrupted.
it's,
I can tell you what, when we create the
Not on
pack, we have to transfer everything from multiple documents into one PDF.
yeah,
And every now and then it corrupts, and it's
Yeah.
corrupted for some reason on that one line.
yeah.
I apologise for Adobe.
So, but to answer the question, what is there about the budget
Well,
setting?
Where are we at?
We haven't-
We had a fund.
We haven't got a budget.
Did we spend any?
No, because we
Does it
got it
say?
back, didn't we?
We had some for training.
It says budget setting, I think.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, so currently, every committee gets a chance to say, to inform the budget. currently it's drafted at £0. You're having an earmark reserve of £9,000 associated with this committee, and that's why I've set them to 0 last year, or this year.
Yeah.
Because there was no intent to spend, and that there's an earmark reserve. If you feel that that £9,000 is still appropriate, then you don't need to request
Yeah.
budget. If you feel that you're gonna need more, then you might want to request a bit of budget.
I propose that we,
I just
Whichever
wanted
way.
to check the issue we had, that we actually went with, going to court, weren't we, over
Yeah,
that
okay.
planning? What was the cost?
Not towards it.
I know it was nothing to us, but if it hadn't gone through,
It would have been
And we
about
had-
£8,000.
well, there we go, so hopefully the 9,000 is okay to keep.
For unwanted
Yes.
development.
But that's what it
Proportionate
is.
challenge to,
Yes.
Yeah,
to,
challenge.
development.
Tennis.
Because I mean, if worst scenario came, and it was more, then there are other funds we can go to, aren't there, if necessary, there are.
Yeah, we have a significant general reserve, which
Yeah.
in an emergency is exactly what's there.
Yeah, so that's.
I propose we go with the same figure
Yeah.
of £9,000.
Currently the same figure is £0.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that just stays in the earmark reserve, yeah?
that's what I meant.
As is,
And
and
if we
I'm
need
quite
it.
happy to second that.
I'm glad you can read my mind.
We okay then?
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm not reading your mind. Anybody wish to contribute anything else on that subject? No? Then I will go to item 12. And it says to note the proposed date of the next meeting, Monday the 21st.